Our first speaker is Fabian Hemmert. He's working at the Design Research Lab for Deutsche Telekom in Berlin. He's also working on his PhD in tangible user interfaces in mobile phones. Before this, he got his MA in interface design, and he worked for Nintendo Europe and Marvel Comics. Some of you will remember him from Lift 10, when he gave an open stage talk. And for those of you who are new, open stage is little 5-minute talks. They're submitted from you. And we select, and people vote, and they get up on stage. Well, we like to follow up on the best ones and bring them back and give them a full 20 minutes, give them the big stage, and they can catch us up on what they've done. Now, Fabian has also spoken at TEDx in Berlin, and his talk was one of the very few selected to be up on the TED website. So you've got a TED speaker here in the crowd tonight with us, guys. So please, help me welcome to the stage Fabian Hemmert.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, how's the fondue? I'm mixing it with a Red Bull, actually, right now, which could be a very spectacular thing to do. So I think most have, some are not here, right? It's like an army of apples glowing down here. Well, you made it, congratulations. Thank you for being here at 9 a.m. after the fondue. For those who are not here, we should make them suffer. You should tweet, Fabian Hemmert is doing the best speech I've ever seen, visionary, fun, and make them suffer in their lazy hotel beds. Okay, so my name is Fabian Hemmert. I'm a PhD student, and I'm also speaking for my professor, Gesche Joost, who cannot be here today, unfortunately. And the last time I spoke here, I was a PhD student. Today, I'm still a PhD student, 2 years later, but I'll talk about something different. Last time I talked about mobile phones that change their shape, that shift their weight to give you haptic information, which is my PhD topic. But in our lab, we are much more interested in the social implications of technology and of mobile phones in particular, because we are working closely with Deutsche Telekom and Telecom Innovation Labs in Berlin. So for a long time, technology has been rather technical. Innovation has been rather technical. More megapixels, more megabytes. But that's not all, right? Now, if you buy a camera today and it has like 11 and not 10 megapixels, it doesn't really make a big difference. Innovation is rather something that happens between the people, and we're interested in that. So how can we combine technological and social innovation? How can we democratize innovation? Which is something everybody can be involved in, which is very good. So that's the question. Now, why do we want to do that? Because sometimes technological progress brings us into issues, I wouldn't say problems, but issues in the way we live together. And I would like to give you an example of the telephone. For a long time, the telephone was, well, it was wired and it was expensive. And that was a good thing because it was chained to the office. We couldn't take it out of the office, and it was like work was there, and maybe you had one at home. But today, mobile phones are everywhere. Oh, these beasts. And I mean, we are addicted to this checking. You know, the phantom vibration, you think it just vibrated, it hasn't, but we're like addicted to checking the phone. And we're always waiting for that one important thing to happen. And it kind of lures us into being impolite. We're talking to somebody, oh, sorry, I just have to check this. And I don't like that. So what do we do about that? Maybe we need to change our perspectives. Maybe we need to get in other people to think, okay, what should be the next step in that? So there are different perspectives. They could be extreme or disruptive, very interesting as well. And they might get us out of the comfort zone. Because the comfort zone of innovation is, if that's the whole society, the comfort zone is rather in the middle. It's the average people. I mean, think male, 25 to 35, tech-savvy, gadget lover, anything else, makes money, well-educated. That's like the comfort zone of innovation, because they will buy it, which is fair enough, because it's a mass market thing, and you want to make money out of it. But if you want interesting perspectives, why not find an extreme, tiny niche, something that hasn't been asked before in innovation? Now, we found out that a really small population percentage is female. Oh, and we asked them about mobile phones. What is a woman's phone? Now, you might say, okay, this has been done already before. There are loads of women's phones out there. And, well, I'm not the analytical thinking type of guy, but maybe you see a pattern that recurs in these phones. Yes, you see that? Yeah. The pattern is called shrink it and pink it, which is like the industry paradigm of making a woman's phone. And maybe that's not the whole story. Maybe women are, well, more than that. Okay, so we didn't want to know what it should look like, but what should it feel like. And we did that with cultural probes. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. It's a quite established method in participatory design. So we gave them kits for self-observations, like a disposable camera and a little diary, and we invited them to document their communication habits. Where is your phone at night, for example? What makes you angry? It's rather emotional, and the way you live with a phone. That's what we want to know. And it was quite a long project, 12 months, loads of women, very broad age range, and also some men as a control group. And lots of ideas came out of that. It was really crazy. And I said we're not interested in the way it looks like, small and pink, maybe not, but what it feels like. So we did body storming sessions with them. We invited them to the lab, and we asked, okay, what would it feel like if you had a phone that could do, well, what do you want? And what they wanted was not more features, more megapixels maybe. It was rather the opposite. It was less. They asked for politeness and privacy, communication timeout, which is interesting because, I mean, okay, maybe there's an overload of communication, and they asked for these things. And that's what we took into prototyping. So we did a variety of prototypes, and the first ones were really simple. They were like, I have a video of that, animated paper prototypes. So we talked about politeness, and I'm very sure you know the issue of you're talking to somebody, really interesting conversation, and then it rings. And you pull it out of the pocket, and you see, oh, it might be important. The conflict of should you take the call, should you reject the call, what do you do? Because you know who it is, but you don't know is it really important. Classical thing is your mother is calling, and it might be really important, but it might be also not. So there's this one important call, that potentially important call, versus the loads of, well, I just want to chat, hey, how you doing? But you're doing something else. So people asked for a way to express the urgency of the phone call in advance. To say, okay, I'm just thinking of you, I want to chat, or this is maybe important or even just urgent. Maybe I have to make a decision, I'm in the supermarket, should I buy this or that? I don't know. And it doesn't matter anymore later, but, well, it kind of expires then. So what we did is we thought about the user interface for this invasion of the privacy, and we opened the mobile phone, actually, and we put in the pressure sensor. It's a very thin foil, and the effect is like when the TV remote control, when the battery is empty, you press it harder. You can do that with a mobile phone now. So you can press it gently or really hard. And we thought of that as the user interface for the importance of the call, the urgency. So we did a prototype with the pressure sensors. You can press gently or strong, and this is the final prototype. You can set a filter. I don't want to be disturbed by unimportant calls. I'm reading. The medium ones should vibrate, and the important ones go through. So here we see the pressing, gentle, strong, and hard. Ah, there it is. Okay. And that controls the urgency. And depending on that, well, it doesn't go through, it vibrates, or it rings. But what is this? I mean, what about people who think that they are important? What about people who don't think they are important, but the call might be important? So now we put the decision on the calling person's side. It's actually not a technical problem, it's like a social problem. And what you just saw is actually, it's a quite elaborate, it's a fake, because this is like a JPEG on the screen, JPEG on the screen. It's not the operating system of a mobile phone, we're just faking it there. And there's a laptop under the table, and there's a Bluetooth initiated call. So it's quite an elaborate fake, but it helped us to convince people. It was very important that we faked it once very convincingly, and then people could try it out, and oh, that's a pretty good idea. And so we managed to put it into an app, actually, right now. We launched it in December, and it's called Tactful Calling. Here's a video, hopefully a video. There it is, OK. And it's on Android, and it overlays the call screen. You will see it right there. So you make a call, and there it is. You can set the urgency to high or low. You can also add a subject line, because people wanted to know that when they decide to take the call or not. Now there's the urgency and subject enhanced call. It says urgent, but briefly. We also have an English version, actually. And that's the callee side. You can take it, reject it, or tactfully reject it. Innovation. So you can say, I'll call you back later or tomorrow. You can say, it's not good right now because I'm in a meeting. So you give a reason and a projection of when you will call back. OK. So that was the Woman's Phone project on privacy, politeness. And what we have learned is we could confirm Marty Valletta's quotation, if you meet the expectations of women, you might exceed the expectations of men. Interesting. So it's not all just shrink it and pink it. You can tweet that. That's cool. Has everybody tweeted that? OK. So back to the comfort zone of innovation. We haven't really moved out of that. Women are everywhere, of course, so that doesn't count. But what if we moved a little bit more to the edges? Maybe people who don't make that much money, who are really not usually considered in innovation. We did that, actually. If you're interested in the very far edges, by the way, I can recommend Tom's talk on tomorrow is it 4 p.m.? Yeah, 4 a.m., yeah, you can do that. 4 p.m., and he's developed a communication device for people who can neither hear nor see, for deafblind people, a communication device, very cool stuff. So what we did here is a project with kids in the streets of Berlin, Neukölln. Neukölln is a low-income, migration background area, quite dense. And we rented a store, and for 4 weeks, we did, each of us PhD candidates in the lab, we did workshops with them on what do you envision as your mobile phone of the future, with music and with secret communication, stuff kids like, basically. And by far too many kids. And it was very exhausting, and I have a video of that. Here it is.
How are we going to communicate in future? What ideas do children have regarding future technologies? In August 2009, a team of design researchers created the Street Lab to pursue these questions. The team of Deutsche Telekom Laboratories and TU Berlin was joined by more than 100 children from Berlin-Neukölln. Within 4 weeks, they designed ideas, concepts and prototypes for tomorrow's communication.
Wir versuchen jetzt herauszufinden, was sind Anforderungen eigentlich an diese Technologie, wie können wir das gestalten und wie können wir so auf diese Zielgruppe eigentlich zugehen und auch im multikulturellen Kontext, das ist auch nochmal ein ganz großes Thema. Ne?
Als wir im Mai geplant hatten, das Street Lab hier in Neukölln zu organisieren und zu veranstalten, waren die Aufgaben erstmal für uns Doktoranden, Workshops zu den Forschungsfragen zu organisieren. In meinem Fall war das Embodied Musical Interfaces, wo ich mit Kindern rund um mobiles Musizieren mit Handy, aber auch ohne Handy herausfinden wollte, was die bewegt.
Mir hat am besten gefallen, wo wir am Computer die Sounds gemacht haben.
Also auch
das da?
Also
ja.
auch das hier am Rechner, wo du
ja.
Die Töne aneinander gefügt hast?
Ja.
Ja. Würdest du es lieber alleine machen oder mit anderen zusammen?
Eigentlich mit anderen zusammen.
Ja.
Das heißt, wir haben also wirklich draußen erstmal im freien Feld Sounds eingefangen, die gecaptured, haben die dann eingespielt hier im Rechner, die verfremdet dann mit Hilfe von Musikprogrammen und sind dann in diese Jam-Sessions übergegangen. Und am Ende gab es echt richtige Performances.
Wir waren ja einmal Eis essen, hatten das ganze Equipment hier liegen lassen und hinterher hatten die den Anti-Aggro-Song aufgenommen, ja, mit Musikuntermalung und verschiedenen Instrumenten.
Und Dorian und Tommy. Anti-Aggro-Rap. Das Lied hat einen Namen, nämlich
In meinem Forschungsthema geht es primär darum, um Interaction Design und um Human-Computer-Interaction, was inspiriert wird durch menschliche oder soziale Behinderungen. Als Beispiel gehörlose Kommunikation oder blinde Navigation. Da haben wir im Street Lab dann zum Beispiel einen Workshop mit Gehörlosen gemacht, das Deaf Street Lab. Und wir haben aber auch 2 Workshops gemacht, bewusst mit nicht behinderten Kindern, die sich dann in die Situation versetzt haben, blind oder gehörlos zu sein.
Dadurch, dass die Kinder so unverdorben, spielerisch und experimentell an solche Themen herangehen, hat es uns einen Haufen an Ideen und Einblicken gebracht. Es waren dabei Handyprototypen, Soundaufnahmen, Fotocollagen und so bekommen wir ganz spezielle Einblicke hier in das Leben der Kinder und Jugendlichen mit multikulturellem Hintergrund.
Wir machen eine Dokumentation darüber, wo wir wirklich genau diese Gruppe von Leuten, mit denen wir hier zusammengearbeitet haben, von Kindern und Jugendlichen beschreiben in ihren Wünschen, in ihren Bedürfnissen, in ihrem Verhalten. Was für Themen sind überhaupt für die wichtig?
Eins ist auch klar, wenn wir die ganzen Kinder und Jugendlichen, die jetzt hier waren, zu uns eingeladen hätten in die Laboratories im Telekom-Building, dann hätte das auch zu ganz anderen Ergebnissen geführt und auch zu einer ganz anderen Dynamik. Und die Dynamik, die hier entstanden ist im Street Lab, die will ich keinesfalls missen. Und deswegen, Street Lab muss weitergehen.
So that's the Street Lab. Very cool project, but it had one problem. We had to leave. After 4 weeks, we had to go away. And there were some things that came out of it, which are very creative prototypes, like this one with, I mean, they could hardly write the numbers, but they knew they had to be keys, alternative keyboard layouts. I put the 7 in the bottom and in the top. This one was supposed to be scratchy when mom calls. I don't know why. This is a very soft and furry one. But the guy who made it was very like, wow, bully, and he put some bling on the inside. Maybe this is an Apple logo. I don't know. Looks like the old 80s Apple logo, doesn't it? I don't know. Yeah, if you want to make a blockbuster kids phone, do SpongeBob. I can only recommend that. This one was cool because it had apps, and the apps could like stick in and out. You could quite elaborate, actually. Lots of cool stuff, the Osama phone, the Lebanon King Ali phone, and so on. So lots of creative ideas, and the problem was we had to leave. There were some ideas of giving the really talented kids a stipend, so they would get like old telecom laptops, old telecom phones. We have them, I mean, we don't use them anymore. But we had to leave, and that's a problem. It's not really sustainable. So this year we did a new project, which is built to live by itself. It's called Network Neighborhoods, and we start with a senior citizen computer club. So they meet and they learn how to use the internet and so on. But that is only the start. We do innovation workshops with them. And there's also a nearby, has to be nearby, DIY space where people build stuff. And we connect them. We invite some people over. And there's also a multi-generation home. And one person lives there from the senior citizen computer club. So we went there too, and we connected those, and you get the idea. There's a church school nearby, and we brought in people from there. So the idea is this year to do something like the Street Lab, but that lives by itself, that keeps expanding, actually. And we hope it will work out. So maybe later I can tell you more about that. Okay. So, as I said in the beginning, for the long time, innovation has been rather technical. But today it's rather what happens between the people, and well, people, everybody should be involved. So we should embrace the niches. We should find diverse users, because average users might get average products, and you want interesting products, of course. And we should keep them in the loop. So Well, this is how we can base innovation on participation. We can get everybody in, and that's why we should democratize design. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Fabian. We have a few questions for you.
Sure.
First, we need to mention that your colleague, Gesche Just, was not with us. She was not able to be here today. So you saw her name on the
Gesche
program.
is not here, unfortunately.
You saw her in the video. She was
She was in the
virtually.
video, yeah. Our professor.
So several questions. The first
Okay.
one is, what failed with the initial mobile phones for women? In your
What
initial, or
failed?
the prototypes that you did. Yeah,
What
didn't work?
failed?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I would consider all those a failure that are boring. If you do if you have the Nokia 5110 and somebody does a Nokia 5111, that's what I would consider a failure because they're not crazy enough. As long as it's crazy, it's fine. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, you bring these people in, your team researches, you interact with them. Then at some point, the people leave, and you're with your team, and you guys have to figure out, you have to make sense of everything you saw during the day, during the week, during the month. How do you guys make sense of all this and decide what goes into the next round of prototyping?
Yeah. How do we make sense of it? I mean, it's very helpful if, the street lab is very chaotic and the kids are not there and sitting and waiting. Can you look at my prototype? And they would just toss it away. So sometimes you have to interpret it. It's like archaeology of ideas in a prototype. But the object says quite much sometimes.
Is it done verbally? I mean, do you discuss it, or do you go away
Yeah.
and you all tinker with your own things, and then you come back and discuss? How's that work? I mean, if we were observing you guys,
Yeah.
what would we be seeing?
I think it works best if you really talk to the kids and the women and the elderly people while they are doing it. Why are you doing that? And if you co-design, it works well, I think. Yeah.
So then it's clear afterwards there's less discrepancy about the interpretation of what you saw?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're involved in the process of making it, which is fine, I think it's a good idea. Because afterwards you would have to look at the thing and, okay, what could that mean? And you're likely to get it wrong, I think. Yeah.
Final question. What's the hardest, most challenging part of your day-to-day work with the lab?
What's the hardest part? What's the hardest part? Putting it into product is quite hard. I mean, we work with a big company, Deutsche Telekom is huge, but making the app, you saw the first prototype of the pressure phone, it was 2 years ago, and we have the app in December. So it was like 2 years of getting it done. So it's really not easy to go from prototype to product, but yeah, we have a beta version now. And
Do you stay through the whole life cycle, or do you hand it off to guys that can go implement?
there is people in the company who build it and who maintain it afterwards. So at some point we have to let it go, I think, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.